He can't be serious, right? First and foremost, salute the squad. Salute the family. It's your boy Armin with Real Talk. And you guys already knew that I had to touch on this topic, man, involving Terence Bud Crawford, man. We all know, I'm sure, that follow the sport of boxing, man. Terence Crawford came out and made some more outrageous statements, man, kind of contradicting himself at the same time, bro. Honestly, I feel like Terence Crawford, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world, but pound for pound, probably one of the most boring and dull interviewers in the world. And probably he should collect his thoughts before these interviews, because this man always trying to defend his resume. This man trying to defend the quality of opponents that he fought in his career. And we all know the biggest name on his resume, his biggest victory in his boxing career was none other than Errol the Truth Spence, bro. That lopsided beating that he put on Errol Spence Jr., bro. But recently, Terence Crawford coming out and saying that he believes that Errol Spence Jr. is not a Hall of Fame fighter. I mean, if you truly believe that, bro, then, you know, the best fighter that you beat on your resume is not a Hall of Famer. Then, you know, when people talk about your resume, people say that you know, it's not a first tier, not even a second tier Hall of Fame type resume, bro. You know, where's your pushback when it comes to that, bro? When the best dude that you beat on your resume, you are saying that this man is not a Hall of Famer. Now, quite honestly, in my opinion, I feel like Errol Spence Jr. fought way better opposition than Terence Bud Crawford, man, point blank, period, at the end of the day. And even the, you know, the same opponents that they had, I feel like Errol Spence beat the better version of Kell Brook. And I feel like Errol Spence beat the better version of Shawn Porter, man. Now, Terence Crawford, man, some of his recent fights against Benavidez Jr., Jeff Horn, you know, again, Kell Brook, Kavaliauskas, Porter. And, you know, we all know that fight against Madrimov, which a lot of people, man, thought that it was a draw. And there was some people that thought that he lost, even though I think that he squeaked it out. You know, these names don't ring bells like Errol Spence Jr., man. These names, quite honestly, I feel like don't have the accomplishments that Errol Spence Jr. has. Because Errol Spence Jr., like I said, beat a Mikey Garcia, beat a better version of Shawn Porter, beat a better version of Kell Brook. He went on to beat a Lamont Peterson. He went on to beat Danny Garcia. You know what I mean, man? I feel like Errol Spence Jr., resume-wise, has a way better resume than Terence Crawford, man. And Terence Crawford trying to defend his resume and, you know, trashing the, you know, biggest name that he has on his resume. We could go ahead and say, man, that Terence Bud Crawford. Now, I'm not saying Terence Crawford shouldn't be a Hall of Fame fighter, but when people trash Terence Crawford's resume, I mean, how is he going to have any pushback when the biggest name on his resume he believes is not a Hall of Fame fighter? And another name that I forgot on Spence's resume, I believe, Ugas, bro. You know, you guys tell me who faced and beat the better opposition, man. It's not even close, even though, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, dominated that fight against Errol Spence. And a lot of people saying that Errol Spence came out, you know, of that accident and he was washed at that point. And Shawn Porter had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You know, he was pretty much done, and Amir Khan was washed. And, you know, people just trash on Bud's resume, bro. I'm not going to go ahead and trash Bud's resume to that level, but I also honestly feel like Terence Crawford didn't fight the best opposition, bro. And I feel like that was boxing politics that played a role in it. But that's a whole different conversation. Terence Bud Crawford, you cannot come out and say you don't believe that Errol Spence Jr. is a Hall of Famer when Errol Spence Jr. faced and defeated better opposition than you have, bro. Even though you beat him, man, this is not helping your case. You know, when you talk about you have one of the best resumes in the sport of boxing, which is blasphemy, you know, quite ridiculous and outrageous of a statement to make. You know, like I said, man, everybody knows that, man. And I know that Terence Crawford feels some type of way about it, but point blank period, bro, you did not face the best, bro. And I know that he was calling out Keith Thurman. I know that he was calling out Danny Garcia. I know that he was calling out all of these dudes, man, and boxing politics getting in the way. Like I said, that's another conversation, bro. Getting in the way and stopping these fights. But at the end of the day, Terence Crawford, this is one of the most ridiculous things that I've heard you say. the biggest name that you have on your resume, the most accomplished name that you have on your resume, you turning around and saying this man is not a Hall of Fame fighter, that means you fight nobody, man. You fight nobody. And when people say that, Terence Crawford, your resume is kind of not so great, what the hell do you say then, bro? Now what the hell do you say coming out and making a statement like this? I think some people should probably help out Terence Bud Crawford in these interviews and write down put a few bullet points down, bro. Put a few comments in there, bro. Touch on, a section where topics you probably shouldn't touch on. Things you probably shouldn't say, because this was flat out ridiculous, bro. The best name, most accomplished name on your resume, not a Hall of Fame fighter. That means your resume is not all that good, bro. And that means when people say that, bro, they kind of have a point, big dog. And I do believe that Errol Spence Jr. is a Hall of Famer. I also believe Terence Crawford is a Hall of Famer. But I also do believe that Terence Bud Crawford's resume is not that good.